Hello and welcome to Financial Education for the Nation. My name is Warren Shute, and today it's all about making the most of your savings. Making the most of your money is the most essential part of getting ahead financially. I think the only thing for me that would top that is having an outcome, having a vision, and working on your psychology. Okay. But making the most of your savings, your money in your bank is essential, particularly as we're seeing inflation rise. So we're seeing inflation pick up, and that's primarily down to the fact that let's say the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, or the central banks globally have pumped so much money into the economy, and spending hasn't really reduced, and obviously prices are going up, and we've got the impact of the shortage of oil in the UK, so that's also inflating prices as well. So we've got all these factors going in, lots of money chasing fewer goods, ironically, because of supply chains making prices go up. Now, I've made no secret in the past, and I'm not changing tune whatsoever, that to get ahead financially, you must, and I choose that word intentionally, not lightly, you must invest. I want to say you can't get ahead financially unless you invest. I think that's probably true. I don't, I'm an equity investor. I think you can get away with investing in property also, but you have to invest. You can't get ahead financially just by saving. You really need to invest, because compound growth over time is the eighth wonder of the world. According to Albert Einstein, it's amazing. You don't appreciate it until you have invested for a period of time. I've been investing now for, trying to think, my son's nearly 17, 20 plus years, and you look and you think, crikey, I've done what I tell you guys to do. I don't tell you to do anything whatsoever that I haven't done, I haven't told my clients done, or that I haven't done. And it's just consistently putting money away, investing. And then when you're investing a few £100 and you see a 10% return, you don't really get that excited. Don't get me wrong. You got £1,000 and 10% return, you get £100. You're not getting that enthused by your outcome there, but over time, it grows. And I can tell you genuinely on air that we have made many clients millions of pounds. And it's not because they started with me with £1 million and we've doubled it. It's because they've been with me for a long time, and they've compound growth over time. We look at the growth and how much actual capital they've gained over that period of time, and it's in excess of £1 million. It's just compound growth, time over time, just rewards you. However, investing carries risks. I hate that word. I do it because I'm a regulated individual, and that's what we're taught to say. It does carry risks. Investing carries volatility. That's probably a more accurate term, and people interpret volatility as risk. So in other words, we have a dot-com correction 2000, we have a financial crisis 2007, we have something occur, a pandemic last year, and the market pulls back, it corrects, it panics, and therefore people feel that is risk, that is a loss. It's only a loss if you sold out. If you actually bought in there, you would actually do better than you would have otherwise. And coincidentally, I did my own financial plan over the last couple of days, and I just presented, as I would a financial planner, my financial plan to my wife, and I was just going through it. And she said, but how comes we've got more money if the stock market corrects than if we didn't? It didn't make sense to her. And basically, I run a cash flow, which you can do on warrenshute.com. So you go to warrenshute.com. There's a cash flow planning tool there, which is extremely similar to what I use with my clients. It's made by the same people, it's just a simplified version. It's very, very good. And you project out to the future. But one of the things that I can do is do a market correction. So I can project my net worth out into the future, essentially my net worth. And I can do a market simulation and say, okay, what was the stock market corrected today 50% and took 10 years to recover? And she said, well, it doesn't make sense. You're going to have more money. And I had to explain that obviously that we're saving. I'm a saver. I'm investing every single month, just like I tell you guys to do. And we buy funds cheaper, we buy investments cheaper, and therefore over time the value grows. So actually we want it to correct, but that's defined as risk. So when we invest, we really want a 5-year, and that's a rolling 5-year horizon, time ahead of us before we want to access the money. And if we've got a shorter period of that, then we really should stick to cash or cash equivalents. So I've always said to people, hold money in 6 months of your expenditure for an emergency fund in national savings and investments premium bonds, or perhaps a savings account. So that's your emergency fund. That's not savings, that's not investment, that's an insurance that goes to one side and it's just left there. And therefore, if you're I'm trying to think what's happened to us lately, our dishwasher burst the other day, we need to replace our dishwasher, there's some money there we can dip our hands into. So okay, let's replace that. This is exactly what we did. If I'm constantly chipping my alloys on my car, if I want to get around to replacing them, that's somewhere I dip in to get that done and replace. I'm just about to have root canal treatment, which is extortionately expensive. I can't believe it. That's somewhere I'll dip in and then replenish that money. So it's there as a buffer. So you'll dip into it, you'll spend from it, but then what you do is you replenish it straight away, so it's back up. We want money on deposit. So we always want 6 months of expenditure on deposit, plus any planned expenditure, typically over the next 3 years. You could go to the next 5, but typically over the next 3 years. So if you're saving up for something, your child's going to university in the next couple of years, you're saving up for that, or they're buying their first car and you want to help them out with that. Something, you've got a special holiday planned, you're saving up for that. I know the stock market's doing tremendously well at the moment, but you don't invest for that. You've got to save for that, because just at that moment you want access to it, the market might correct, and then you'll be devastated that you missed your target. If you've got this money on deposit, either for your emergency fund or for your expenses over the next 3 to 5 years, it's getting nothing, is it? On deposit, it's terrible. And I've always said national savings investments premium bonds, because it's backed by the Treasury and you're not losing much. But at Lexington, we have access to this platform. So when I invest clients' money, we don't invest it directly with the fund manager. So I won't go directly to Vanguard or Dimensional or whoever, Fidelity, iShares, whoever, because they are fund management groups. And if they fall out of favor, if I want to move it, I've got to move it lock, stock and barrel from that company to that company. It's a bit of palaver. It's a lot of work. So what I tend to do is use a platform. There are many platforms out there. The platform that we use at Lexington is called Transact, and that's because it's been around for a long time and it has very, very few restrictions, and it has fantastic customer service, both for me and for our clients. I think that's really important. So I can change funds in a heartbeat within a day or two. I can do a similar thing for money on deposit. So a client says to me, look, I've got, unfortunately it's large sums, 100,000, £1 million, I got to keep this on deposit because I've got this, that and the other, tax bill or whatever. What can you do with it? I can allocate it to different accounts with different providers just from one source. So they don't have to fill out 10 application forms, for example. They can just fill out one or sign one form, and we can allocate it to, say, be 10 different providers. It's a fantastic service. Unfortunately, that's never been available to retail investors like yourselves, I don't believe. I've never seen it anyway. So that's always kind of griped me a little bit, because I'm very much about fairness. And if you need to seek advice, then you should go and get advice. But if you want to do it yourself, then hey, good luck to you. But you should still have the facilities available to you. But then I came across a thing called Aviva Save. And Aviva Save is basically pretty much the same thing that I do for my clients, but on a retail scale. What I mean retail scale is you can set it up for maybe £1,000 or a few £100s. You don't need 100,000 or £1 million to do it. So Aviva Save enables you to open up one account with Aviva, and then you can then invest your savings, or hold your savings, I shouldn't say invest really, but hold your savings in a variety of different accounts. So let me give you an example. You probably want some money on instant access. So you want some money in a certain account. But if you're looking to put some money away for a car deposit or a car purchase for your son or daughter in a year's time, well, actually, you might want to tie that money up for 12 months so you can get a slightly better rate of interest. And then let's say, for example, you're looking to help them with a house deposit or university, but that's not going to happen until, say, 5 years' time. Well, it doesn't make sense to hold it for 1 year. You can get a better rate of interest if you hold it for maybe 3, 4, or 5 years. So you can tie that much money up. So you can put your money in one account with I'd say a very respected high street brand. Okay, so we're confident. I feel confident with Aviva as a company. They've been around for many years, and they're backed by the FCA and the FSCS. So you can open an account with them, and then they can spread your money with these different providers who they've looked at and they've said, okay, well, they're financially strong, they're offering us this, and they've got these different rates. So for me, as a financial professional, I love what we call marketplaces or platforms for investments and savings, because I can open up one account and I can go to the breadth of different providers. So I've got an investment, I can open an investment with Transact, for example, and I can go to all these different fund managers and create my portfolio. And then if one of those fund managers doesn't deliver what they've promised, whether that's through performance or targeting a specific type of investment class, I can then sell that fund and move it across very seamlessly and easily, without the need of filling out lots of paperwork and without the need of all the online ID and set up new accounts. So that's the investment side. I can also, client says, okay, I've got £1 million I need to hold on deposit for a year. What can you do? I can open one account. I can open one account and spread this money across all these different accounts and say, perfect, great. This is your asset allocation for your savings. Now you as the retail investor can do the same thing. So you've got Lexo, which is my online investment platform, which is through Transact, backed by Transact, and you can have access to all the investments, which I've spoken about before, which is perfect. You can do the same thing. But now Aviva Save give you the ability to then go online and say, okay, well, let's open an account with Aviva Save. I've got a few £1,000s, how much money it is, I don't know. How much you want to put aside. Some of that's for my emergency fund, so I'm going to keep maybe some of that on instant access, but I'm very happy to tie some of that up maybe for a year. So it's accessible, but I lose interest if I need it. So, okay, that's a risk I'm willing to take. Actually, but this money here is for my daughter's wedding, which isn't going to be for another 2 years. So let me choose this 2-year deal, because that's going to give me a better rate. And this money here is potentially for my son's house deposit I promised him. So he doesn't need that for 5 years because he's going off to uni. So I can put that money into there just through one account. And for me, this is perfect. This is just exactly the kind of thing that we want to see bringing to the retail market. So go and check it out. It's called Aviva Save. Give it a Google search. I will also put it in the show notes, so you've got a link to it as well. But I don't endorse companies per se. I don't want to try and sort of encourage you to do different companies. But when there's something out there that's working really well, so we used Idelo in the past for savings on purchase and stuff, I want to bring it to you. And I think Aviva Save is one of those things that's working really well. So go and check it out and see what you can do with that. That's the summary of your savings side of things. Remember, investing is going to grow your money. That's going to give you the growth over time. But if you're going to invest, you've got to invest for at least a 5-year term or more, because the stock market goes up and down, and sod's law, when you need it, is going to be down. So that's why we have this 5-year period. But money that you need access to in the next 6 months, like an emergency fund, or money you need access to in the next 5 years from planned savings, whether it's house deposits or helping get people out for the car, or replacing your bathroom, or for my example, my root canal, or replacing my dishwasher, you need access on deposit, you need savings. And trying to get the best rate on the high street through different accounts can be very messy. So having one portal, one marketplace, or platform, different names are used for the same thing, marketplace or platform, makes it very administratively tidy, not only for you, but also your executors in the event of you passing away. I've administered many estates now, and having savings accounts with dozens of different providers is very time consuming. Having just one place is very efficient, but also you're not with one provider. You're not just with one bank. You're with lots and lots of different banks. So go and check it out and see what you think for that. The top 5 things you need to know about your savings. If you need access to the money in the next 5 years, the money really should be on deposit and not in the stock market. I think we kind of covered that already, but I think stock market based investments are great for long-term growth and they reward you over time, but there are periods where it doesn't, and that's where you need deposit rates. Number 2, ensure you've always got, I'd say, 6 months of your expenditure on deposit as an emergency fund, plus any planned expenditure that you want over the next, say, 3 to 5 years, depending on what your sort of time frame is, and also your risk profile. So if you're a particularly higher risk investor, you're very aggressive, you might say, well, actually, my planned expenditure over the next 5 years is going to be on deposit. It kind of dilutes it a little bit. But if you're a very modest investor, so maybe you'll say 40% stock market or perhaps 60% stock market, you could then maybe get away with only 3 years of expenses on deposit. Number 3, remember, if you earn less than £50,000 a year in income, that's total income from all sources, earned, self-employed and rental income, everything else, you can receive at least £1,000 of interest tax-free every year. Now, you're going to have a lot of money on deposit nowadays to get £1,000 tax-free income, but it makes it very tax efficient, definitely. Number 4, since April 2016, banks and building societies have paid your interest rate gross. So any interest you earn, you must declare on your tax return. What you don't want, I had this conversation with someone the other day, what you don't want is this potential tax liability building up. You think, yeah, it's fine. And then you get into retirement and then they call on you and say, actually, you need to pay us back. And you're like, well, I'm not earning it, it's difficult. So declare any interest that you receive if it's over £1,000, if you earn under £50,000. If you receive interest in excess of your tax-free allowance, you must declare this and pay income tax on it. Okay, so maybe I'll do a whole separate slot on paying income tax on interest and dividends and things. But it's very important that if you're receiving interest, that it's declared on your tax return. Thank you so much for today. I hope you found this of interest. It's very much a foundations, basics, making sure you're making the most of your money kind of session. But it's those little things that we do consistently over time that are going to make the difference in your financial future. Thank you very much. My name is Warren Shute. This has been Financial Education Foundation. And until next time, stay safe. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. There's a great number of back issues to go through, and remember, what makes us different on your financial journey is the support with access to downloads and templates on warrenshute.com, the YouTube videos and podcasts, as well as access to me, a multi-award winning certified financial planner and certified international coach. So please do engage and let's get your finances sorted together.